All right, welcome guys. Sorry for starting a couple minutes late here. We got a 7-game NBA slate to talk about. Actually, pretty excited about this one. I think it's a nice slate. I see we got cult season in the chat. Let's get it. Let's unite the cult here for a nice win. Appreciate that chance for trying to get the likes up already. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're already at 100 viewers, 41 likes, guys. Thank you. That is greatly appreciated. But okay, so let's go over what we know so far. We'll take a look at the Vegas odds, and then I'll go team by team and talk about the players I'm interested in now, and then we'll get to questions at the end. Still waiting on some pieces of news, but let's go back to the beginning of the day. So Eric Gordon, questionable. Keldon Johnson, out. Gordon Hayward, doubtful. Devontae Graham, out. Cody Zeller, doubtful. That's pretty big news because that kind of solidifies the Hornets having a really tight rotation and makes LaMelo a good play at the top. PJ, Bridges, Monk, pretty solid plays in the mid-range. Really does open up a lot there on the slate. Embiid, Tobias were questionable. We got Tobias out and Embiid very questionable. So my breakdown of that is I don't think Embiid plays. Now we do have news that Campazzo is doubtful. That I think makes PJ Dozier a kind of interesting value play. I think he plays more minutes. Again, Tobias out, Tyler Johnson in, not big news. Jeff Green out, but that honestly doesn't do a ton for me. TLC out as well. It just, again, the Nets they have a lot of bodies they can just throw and get minutes, low usage guys. Magic starters are MCW, Fournier, Bacon, Aminu, and Vucevic. Again, Embiid very questionable. I don't expect that. I don't expect him to play. What's going on, guys? Torian Prince out, and then we have Brogdon and Jeremy Lamb game time decisions. That's pretty big because if Brogdon's out, I think TJ McConnell will be a pretty solid play because he played 46 minutes last game. But let's take a look at these numbers. Vegas odds. Pacers, 76ers, a 222.5 over under. 76ers are 2.5 point favorites. The Mavs and the Magic, a 221 over under. The Mavs are 6.5 point favorites. Nuggets and Bulls, a 225.5 over under. The Nuggets are 4.5 point favorites. Jazz, Pelicans, 237 over under. The Jazz are 7 point favorites. Nets and Spurs, a 233 over under. The Nets are 4.5 point favorites. Cavs and Rockets at 217 over under. The Rockets are 2 point favorites. And the late night hammer here, Hornets, Blazers, 229 over under. The Blazers are 7.5 point favorites. All right, so let's start off with Dallas and Orlando. On the Dallas side, Porzingis most likely back here, so that kind of takes the secondary plays out of play for me on Dallas. As far as the top two guys, Luka and Porzingis, I think Luka's a pretty good spend up if you think the Magic can keep it close. Now, I did mention in my video, like the Magic, I feel like they've been getting blown out every single slate, so that is a little bit concerning. What's the over-under in this one, or the spread? Only 6.5, but still, I'm still slightly worried about that one. If the game does stay close, we're going to get 35 plus minutes from Luka. It's a good matchup, a guy that has triple-double upside. So yeah, Luka, as long as this game stays close, I think is a pretty safe play with some upside. Porzingis, more the risky play at 8.2K. Was on pace for probably 32 minutes of the game to not blow out last time against Brooklyn. So I'm expecting around that 32-ish minutes. At this price point, I would say he's just a contrarian play, not a cash game play at all. Can still get it done. We've seen some big games for Porzingis, but I need to see him play some more minutes. Like if I knew he's playing 36, 37 minutes, then I would feel more comfortable paying that 8.2K salary for him. Again, value-wise, yeah, Brunson and J. Rich are still playable here. They're still going to get Brunson will probably play mid-20s minutes. J. Rich will play mid-30s minutes, but they're lower usage guys, and you can take a shot on Hardaway and hope he hits his shots, but it's just not a ton I like here on the value side for Dallas right now because there's a lot of value already opening up on the slate. So that's kind of my reasoning for not being super high in the secondary plays. On the Magic side, Vucevic as a contrarian spend up is someone I think you can go to in GPPs. Would I pull the trigger on him in cash games at 10-2? I personally prefer other spend ups. But that doesn't make him out of play. Again, he's had some huge upside games. He's gone for 60 plus multiple times, gone for 74 there against Golden State. So I think he's still viable for tournaments. And maybe if you want to do a little mini game stack like Luka and Vucevic, I think that will be a little bit contrarian on the slate. But yeah, I do like that for tournaments. Fournier too pricey. No thank you on Ross. MCW, nah. Value-wise, Aminu and Bacon are playable here. Aminu I probably think plays mid-20s minutes, not a high-usage guy. Dwayne Bacon did play 29 minutes last game. My concern with him is he's pretty reliant on the scoring. Not going to do a ton of the peripherals, but I'm expecting mid-20s minutes. So sure, you can take a shot at him. Do I feel really good about it? Not really. I think, again, I probably for other value plays on the slate. Pacers and 76ers. So I think this is where we can get some value on the Philadelphia side. But let's first talk about the Indiana side. So big news is Malcolm Brogdon. he is currently a game time decision. Again, the last game he was out, TJ McConnell literally played 46 minutes. So this is a revenge game too. If there's no Malcolm Brogdon and TJ McConnell starts, I don't know if we get 46 minutes, but I think we probably get high 30s, maybe even 40 minutes for TJ McConnell, which would make him a pretty solid play at this price. So that is something to keep an eye on, the status of Malcolm Brogdon. Miles Turner with Embiid, very questionable. I think is a little bit more playable now. I think he does go overlooked. The positive with Miles Turner is recently the minutes have been going up on him, 30, 32, 37, and 33. So he's been playing more. And if there's no Embiid, I'm less concerned about the foul trouble risk for him. So I think he's actually a decent play there in the mid-range. Justin Holiday, I don't love it. McDermott, too reliant in the scoring. If there's no Brogdon and Jeremy Lamb, I think you could use Aaron Holiday as a punt play. I expected him to play more minutes last game. He still only played 19. Now, I think that the reason he only played 19 was because TJ McConnell played 46 minutes. Again, I don't think we get 46 again from McConnell. Maybe if both guards are out, we get like 38 from McConnell and like 25 or so from Holiday, which would make him a pretty viable punt play there at that price. Okay, moving on. And then, Sabonis at that price point, just a contrarian play. I'm not really interested in him. Moving on to the Philadelphia 76ers. So, no Tobias, and Embiid is, I would say, doubtful. Very questionable, they said. I don't expect him to play. So, that changes literally the entire slate, because now Ben Simmons is one of the best bet-ups on the slate, in my opinion. As long as this game stays close, we should get close to 40 minutes, I would say. A guy that's going to be the number one in the offense, can stuff the stat sheet. I love Ben Simmons' pricing. I think he's one of the best bet-ups of the slate. And then we got to consider the secondary options here. So the Pacers are a big team. I don't think they can use Mike Scott as a small ball 5. We saw Scott start the 5. I forget what game it was. Maybe it was against Dallas, but when Embiid was out, they started him at the 5. I don't think they can do that against like the combination of Miles Turner and Domantas Sabonis. So I think Dwight Howard probably starts. If he does start, mid-20s minutes, I think is a pretty fair guess for him. I know they've kind of fluctuated with Embiid being out. Some games he'll play. There's a couple games he played like over 30 minutes. There's one game he got benched in the second half. But he's at 3.5K. And again, a solid point per minute guy. Assuming Dwight Howard starts, I think he's one of the best, if not the best value on the slate. Now, the question I have is, are they going to use Mike Scott as the backup 5? Or does Tony Bradley play the backup 5? If Tony Bradley plays the backup 5, I think he's an interesting punt play here that not a lot of people will consider. Hasn't played a ton recently. But when he gets minutes, he's actually a decent point per minute guy. If he played last year when he was the backup for the Utah Jazz and Gobert's out, like we locked in Tony Bradley, right? He's a good point per minute guy. So I think if Dwight Howard starts at center, then my guess is Tony Bradley plays the backup 5. I'm not 100% on that. And, there's still a chance he would get a DNP, and then they use Mike Scott as the backup 5. But like I said, I think this is a bigger Pacers team that I don't really think they can go small ball Mike Scott. So that's kind of my thoughts there with the centers. Mike Scott at 3.4K has played 22 and 19 minutes the last couple games, a lower usage guy. I think he probably plays low to mid 20s minutes, which is makes him in play for sure at close to mid price. The value guy I think I like the best here, besides the centers, is Shake Milton. He played 32 minutes that last game with no Tobias Harris. Now there's no Joel Embiid too, or most likely. So that's just one less body in the rotation. I think we probably get similar minutes for Shake Milton, which makes him, besides the centers, my favorite value play for the Philadelphia 76ers. Seth Curry, the minutes will be there. I think he's priced about right. He shot 1 of 13 last game. I think he's fine if you landed him, but not a priority. Danny Green, you guys know my feelings by now on this guy. He's very, very reliant on the scoring. He'll play minutes. He'll probably play low to mid 30s minutes. You can go there, but again, he needs to hit his threes. Furkan Korkmaz, kind of the same thing. Super, super reliant on the scoring. I think he probably plays somewhere around mid 20s minutes too. So yeah, there's a lot of Philadelphia guys that are viable. Thibault probably will get more minutes. Again, he's very, very more out there for his defense, I should say. So really, all those guys I mentioned are playable for Philly, but I think the priorities for me would probably be Ben Simmons, probably whoever starts at center, and then probably look to a guy like Shake Milton. But yeah, other guys playable. Again, Green, Seth Curry, Scott, Thibault, those guys are all viable. All right, 2 games up, 2 games down. Let's see. Do we have any more updates here? On Philadelphia, no. So let's move on to Denver and Chicago. On the Denver side, love the matchup here for Nikola Jokic. Should be able to have his way against the Chicago front court. I love targeting bigs against Chicago. So yeah, if you can get to Jokic, I do like him a good amount. My one concern, the one downside with Jokic is there's a lot of good value, most likely at center already, right? We have the Philly centers if there's no Embiid, and I don't think he will play. We have Justin Patton, assuming he starts at center. So, you can even go to Biyombo if he starts again, even though he hasn't been great recently. So, yeah, there's value at center, which might make it a little difficult to get to Nikola Jokic. Jamal Murray, MPJ, fine tournament plays. I don't know if either are priority, though, at their respective prices. Going down a bit more, Monte Morris at 4.9. He's been playing about 30 minutes a game. I think he's just a fair play at that price. Now, again, Composo doubtful. So, I think what that opens up is PJ Dozier. First game back, played 14 minutes. I'm assuming we'll get more with no Camposo. I would say probably 20 to 25 if we do get those minutes. And I think he's a pretty good value play. So I do have some interest in PJ Dozier as a punt option. Moving on to Chicago. Honestly, not a ton of love here for Chicago. A couple guys that are playable, but just contrarian options. Levine, again, hard to prioritize him with a lot of the good spot ups in the slate. And then Kobe White in the mid-range, playable. 30 to 35 minutes has been better recently, but neither are priorities for me. And then no thank you on Wendell Carter Jr., no thank you on Thad Young. Everything else are kind of stayaways. Utah and New Orleans. So on the Utah side, Mike Conley is back. So I think Mike Conley himself is probably my favorite play here. Played 33 minutes the last game. I'm expecting 30 to 33, somewhere in that range. He's at 6'5". It's a 237 over under. I think Conley looks pretty good. Gobert at 7'4". Decent play, but not playing huge minutes most of the time. Most of the time he's hovering in like the 27 to 30 minute range. Donovan Mitchell has been really, really good recently. Now with Mike Conley back in the lineup, that does take a hit to him. But previous 6 games, 52, 55, 40, 43, 46, and 46 fantasy points. Again, high over under. So I'm perfectly fine if you want to go to Donovan Mitchell there at the top. Ingles and Clarkson are guys to look to when Conley is out. Conley's in, so they're secondary options. Bojan to rely on scoring, and that's really it. I will mention Derek Favors, revenge game narrative. Not going to play a ton, 15 to 17 minutes, but he is a solid point per minute guy. Will we have to go there, though? With the other value centers in the slate? Probably not. All right, moving on to New Orleans. Zion Williamson has been absolutely on fire. The Jazz are solid defensively, but this, again, 237 over under. So, I'm perfectly fine if you want to continue to ride Zion. 48, 49, 54, and 49 fantasy points the last 4 games. Ingram at that price, Lonzo, I think there's better guard plays in the mid-range. Steven Adams will probably play about 30 minutes. Fine option, not a priority. Nothing really else I love for New Orleans. All right, so we got 3 games left. Let's make sure we're up to date here, guys. We're pretty good on time. Okay, so no more news yet. Where are we at? 350 viewers, 84 likes, guys. Can we get to 100 before the end? That would be greatly appreciated. Again, I'll be on for another 20 minutes. So let's talk about Brooklyn and San Antonio. This is a game I have interest in for the Stars. Harden and Kyrie. Again, there should be very little defense played in this one. Harden's got triple-double upside. I do like him. I do like the discount on Kyrie if you can't afford Harden. You can even play both and run it back with like DeJounte Murray or DeMar DeRozan for tournaments and just full game stack it. But yeah, this is definitely a game I have interest in. Harden, should play probably close to 40 minutes in a close one. And then Kyrie probably plays mid-30s minutes. But yeah, I do like both a good amount here. Value-wise, there's really just not a lot I like. I know there's no Jeff Green. I know there's no TLC, but they just have a lot of guys on the end of the bench that can throw and get minutes. Like DeAndre Jordan, Joe Harris will play a decent amount. Same with Bruce Brown, but don't love the pricing on all of them. And then you have just end of the bench guys like Shamet, Roberson, Claxton can eat a few minutes. Tyler Johnson probably gets some run. So yeah, there's not a ton of love there for Brooklyn value. Moving on to San Antonio, DeMar DeRozan and DeJounte Murray, I think are good spend ups in the slate. Probably prefer DeRozan if you made me pick. I think he's been more consistent than DeJounte Murray, but 38 minutes last game for DeRozan, 37 for DeJounte Murray. Again, a good matchup, so I'm good with either of them for spend ups here at the top. The one concern is Popovich is their coach, and you just never feel 100% confident targeting any Spurs because of Popovich. Pirtle, Aldridge kind of eating each other's minutes. No thank you there. Lonnie's priced about right. Patty Mills probably plays about 30 minutes. Okay value, but again, not a priority for me. Trey Lyles did play 36 minutes at last game. I don't know if we get 36 minutes again, a lower usage guy. I'm expecting probably around 25 to 30, which is, again, makes him in play, but definitely not a priority either. Cleveland and Houston. Jarrett Allen at 8.5K. It seems kind of pricey, but again, he should be able to have his way against a small ball Houston front court. The last 2 games ago, 61 fantasy points. Now, again, they might start Justin Patton, a bigger body, just to throw on him. Either way, I'm fine getting to Jarrett Allen. Is he a cash game play? I would say fringe cash play. I would say more suited for GPPs. Like, you could do it as last piece in, but I think there's better plays to go to for cash games. Sexton and Garland, I'm fine with either, to be honest. They're playing just massive minutes. 42 last game for Garland, 44 for Sexton. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with either of the Cleveland guards. Now, we did get news that Taurean Prince is out. Cedi Osman is currently questionable. If he's out, then I think you could consider guys like Dylan Windler and Dean Wade for value. Both probably play mid-20s minutes. They're not super high usage guys, but as value, they're definitely viable. And then JaVale McGee, I always mention him because he is a really good point per minute guy. He's most of the time going to play about 15 minutes on the bench, but if for some reason Jarrett Allen gets in foul trouble, he's going to come in, and then you could see him have just a massive game. But really, you need some foul trouble or something weird to happen. Moving on to Houston. Houston's not a team I have a ton of interest in with Wall playing. Wall and Oladipo, secondary options to me. Eric Gordon, questionable, but honestly doesn't do a ton. If he's out, maybe opens up a few minutes for guys like Sterling Brown and David Nwaba. If I had to pick one, it would be Brown because he's cheaper. The guy that I do have some interest in is Justin Patton, if he starts. If he starts at center, I think we probably get 20 to 25 minutes. He played 26 that last game. Again, this is a bigger Cleveland team, so if he does start at center, I actually would like Justin Patton for value. All right, final game here, Charlotte and Portland. So just like last slate, where I said we saved the best for last, and I full stacked that game last night, I will be doing the exact same with this game. Absolutely love Charlotte and Portland here. The Charlotte Hornets, no Gordon Hayward and Cody Zeller doubtful. No Devontae Graham. They're going to have a really tight rotation. So let's start off with LaMelo Ball at 8-7. I think he's one of the better spin-ups in the slate. Played 39 minutes. Honestly, kind of had a floor game, in my opinion, with all his guys out. I think he's got 60-plus fantasy point upside in this matchup. I really like LaMelo at the top. Rozier, contrarian play at that price. Again, he took a backseat offensively. The reason I don't love Rozier is because he just went on that stretch where he had like 34, 41, 33, and 36 real-life points. He was shooting the ball. He was just on fire. He's not going to do a ton of the peripherals with LaMelo out there, which just makes him a contrarian play, in my opinion. And then we get chalk PJ Washington. So, yes, I know what he did last game. 66 fantasy points, 42 points, 9 boards, 2 assists, 2 blocks, and 2 steals. Just be careful here. He's going to be the absolute chalk, and he is a guy that is always in foul trouble. So I tweeted about it earlier this morning. I was like, chalk PJ Washington, probably guaranteed foul trouble. Like, I can already see it happening. 2 quick fouls in the first quarter, and everyone's going to be tilting. I can see the future here. If he can stay out of foul trouble, then I think he's one of the best plays of the slate, because I think he probably plays 35 to 40 minutes, will play a lot the small ball 5, just boosts his upside and floor big time. So really like PJ if he can stay out of foul trouble. Malik Monk is actually playable at 5.5. He's been a solid addition off the bench. He played 31 minutes last game. He did have 5 boards and 4 assists too, so did a little bit better than peripherals. I probably prefer Miles Bridges. He's a little bit cheaper at 4.8K. Played 33 minutes. I do like him a good amount for value. I think he's one of the better value plays. And then with the Martin twins, it was Caleb barely played. It was Cody, the one that actually played more. I was a little bit surprised about that, but yeah, Cody played 27 minutes. If you're going to take a shot on one of the Martin twins, I guess it would be Cody, because he just played way more than Caleb. And then, yeah, McDaniel started the last game. He's a low-usage guy, only played 15 minutes. Don't have a ton of interest there. Biyombo did start last game, did only play 20 minutes, has been disappointing last couple of games. Yeah, you can use him, but again, not a super, super high-usage guy. And that's really it there for Charlotte. So let's finish up with Portland. Love Dame at the top at 10-4. I think he's one of the best, if not the best, spun up of the slate. Again, love the matchup here. They're clear number 1, so really, really do like Dame. Enes Kanter, I like a lot too at 7-2. He should be able to have his way against his front court. He's a solid point per minute guy, a good rebounder, probably a lock for like a double-double if this game stays close. So Kanter and Lillard at the top, I think, are really, really good plays. The wings, all secondary options for me are Trent, Covington, Jones Jr., and Melo. No standouts there. They're all fine options, but yeah, no priorities. And that's really it for Portland. So that's it for kind of the team-by-team breakdown, guys. What we got about a little over 10 minutes for questions. Still no updates on the Pacers or the 76ers. We should get that somewhat soon. But, all right, let's get to some questions here. We're almost at 400 viewers. Thank you, guys. LaMelo or Simmons for cash? My answer would probably be both, but I think if I had to pick one, it would be Ben Simmons. Let's see. Got my new lock for the night. People on the chat know I'm 100% of these. Tonight's pick, PJ Dozier. Yeah, I think PJ Dozier is a good value. I do. With Campazzo doubtful, I think Dozier probably plays 20-ish minutes, maybe a little bit more. I've got 4 players in the late game and a Philly exposure. You can definitely stack. Yeah, I think that's probably a smart way to go about this slate. Enes Kanter and Malik Monk or Jared Allen and Shake Milton. I'll go the second one. Jokic and DeJounte Murray or Lillard and Jared Allen. I'll go the second one too. Love Jared at 79 on FanDuel, but Kanter's only 63. 5.5K and guard. Let's see. Yeah, I guess it'll be Malik Monk. I'm not a huge Malik Monk fan because I still think he's a little bit more reliant in the scoring, but he's going to have to play probably around 30 minutes. So I think the answer would be Malik Monk there. Thoughts on LaMarcus? I'm probably going to stay away. Again, I think him and Jakob Poeltl kind of split the center minutes. LaMelo Ball 7,900 and Malik Monk at 4,900 on FanDuel locks. I wouldn't say locks, but LaMelo on FanDuel, that looks really, really cheap. Monk at 4,900 also looks pretty good. Milton or Dozier? Milton if you can get to him, but I do like the price on Dozier as a punt play. Lillard, Milton, Dozier, Bridges, Patton, Luka, Simmons, and Lyles for cash thoughts. Yeah, I think it's a good lineup. You're going a little bit more stars and scrubs. But I think, as long as, let's see. Well, you don't have, I would probably, if there's no Embiid, get to one of those Philadelphia 76ers centers. Assuming Dwight Howard starts, I think he's a really good play. Simmons or LaMelo is a good question. Again, I'll give the edge to Simmons right now, but I like both a lot. DeJounte Murray or Jared Allen. I think they're both kind of just like more contrarian plays. I'll go Jared Allen. I think Jared Allen is a little bit overpriced. I do. So it's not like I don't love Jared Allen on the slate, but I think I'll go him. You like Conley? You think Conley would do well? Yeah, I think Conley plays 30 to 33 minutes and is a little bit too cheap. How do you feel about McConnell? If there's no Malcolm Brogdon and he starts, I think we probably get about 40 minutes, which makes him a good play in the mid-range. Am I crazy for taking shots in Dozier and Dean Wade to get Lillard, Kyrie, and Ball? No. As long as Osman's out, Dean Wade probably plays mid-20s minutes. You might be able to do better for value. Like, there might be better value plays there. I do like Dozier for value. Dean Wade is kind of like a questionable value play. Is Miles Bridges viable? Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people will play both Bridges and Washington. But, yeah, you can go to Bridges over Washington if you want. Lillard and Kanter or Allen or LaMelo. I guess that depends on what the rest of your lineup looks like. Like, if you have a lot of Hornets in your lineup, then maybe you just go Lillard and Kanter to go like the stack. 3 Philly and 3 Hornets too much? No, I think that's fine. I think that's probably the teams you want to be targeting on this slate. Dozier or Patton is a good question. I will say Patton if he starts. If he does not start, then Dozier. Thoughts on Korkmaz? In play for value, more reliant in the scoring. I need to see the starting lineup, but I think he probably plays mid-20s minutes. So, yes, for sure in play for value. Murray, Dozier, Simmons, Lyles, Patton, Morris, Washington, Lillard for cash. I think you can make some changes there, to be honest, for cash games. I don't know if that's fully optimal. Again, keep an eye on the Philly news, but I think you might want to get some Philadelphia guys in there if there's no Dwight Howard. Harden, Dozier, Barton, Washington, Kanter, Simmons, Bridges, and Bradley for GPP. Okay. Yeah, Bradley is a pretty high-risk, high-reward play. Again, there's a chance he doesn't play. Like, if Mike Scott starts to the center, then I think Scott's going to start, and then Dwight will back him up. I don't think Bradley plays. So, like, there's still a chance he doesn't play. So that's a high-risk, high-reward play. Didn't really mention Will Barton. 5.4K is a fair price for him. probably plays 25 to 30 minutes. Just kind of like a last piece in guy. I don't love him. Bridges or Carmelo? I'm going to go Miles Bridges there. Top Shot market crashing. My card's going downhill quick. Not sure why. I'm not super worried about it. Market's going to go, up and down a bit. So, I'm holding. Best value play. I need to see the Philadelphia starting lineup, so I can't say that right now. Cody Martin or Dwight Howard? Dwight if he starts. Aaron Holiday or Patton? Patton if he starts. Shooting guard for 4,400. Let's see. So I would say Shake Milton, but he's 45. So 44. Again, I kind of need to see the Philadelphia starting lineup. There's some guys that are viable down here. Right. Windler, if there's no Osman, probably plays mid-20s minutes. That's fine. Sterling Brown, if there's no Eric Gordon, is playable. And then you kind of have like a Korkmaz that if he starts, probably plays mid-20s minutes. So like right now, it's hard to say. I need to see a starting lineup. But there's a few guys I mentioned there. Luka or Jokic is a good question. For me, it might be Luka because I think there's more value at center, which just makes Jokic a little bit more contrarian. Thoughts on Harden, PJ Dozier, Barton, Washington, Howard, Ball, Bridges, and Cantor? I think it's a good lineup. Dame, Malik Monk, Porter, Washington, Howard, Conley, Dozier, and Cantor. Okay. Michael Porter Jr., I always lay it out that I'm never 100% convinced about his minutes. There's always if you play Michael Porter Jr., you just got to know the risks. Like you got to know that there is probably a 20% chance that he plays like 15 to 20 minutes and pisses Malone off and that's all he plays. Are you fading Washington? Right now I have him in. I think he's a good play as long as he stays out of foul trouble. Again, and that's my concern is the early foul trouble. And you get that a lot from PJ Washington is foul trouble. So that's the way he doesn't get there. Jokic or Lillard is a good question. I'll go Lillard just because, again, I think there's better value at center. Not saying I don't like Jokic. I love Jokic. It's just the opportunity costs of playing him. If Patton starts at center, if Dwight Howard starts at center, right, there's two really good value right there. Patton or Dozier? Again, my answer is Patton if he starts. If Patton does not start, then it's Dozier. What do you think about playing Dwight at center and having Patton utility? Yeah, I think if they both start, I think they're two of the better value plays in the slate. So, I do like that. Dame, Milton, Simmons, Washington, Howard, McConnell, Bridges, Monk, thoughts. I think it's fine. Again, as long as there's no Brogdon. The only way I'm playing McConnell if there's no Brogdon. If Brogdon's in, I'm not playing McConnell at that price. Everything else looks fine, though. DK, do you like this for upside? Let's see. So, you got Luka, Milton, Korkmaz, Zion, Tony Bradley, Dame, Bridges, and Dwight Howard. Okay, I think it's a little risky. You're playing both the centers for Philly. If Dwight Howard starts, obviously he's a safe play. My one concern is like they do have Mike Scott, so they could use him as the backup five. Where maybe Tony Bradley doesn't play, so like that is just a little risky. But yeah, Zion. I think Zion's a little bit more contrarian too on the slate. But like I said, he has been playing out of this world recently, so. There's a couple risky plays in there, but yeah, I think it has upside. FanDuel lineup, LaMelo Ball, Lillard, DeRozan, Dozier, Monk, McBuckets, PJ, and Bradley, or Scott, depending on start, and Jokic. Okay, again, I never loved playing McDermott because he's super reliant on the scoring. Everything else is fine, though. Are PJ Washington and Cantor must-plays? No. Neither are must-plays, but both I like a good amount. Ford, 5,100. It has a kind of a gross range. I would go Bridges. Bridges at 48. 44 utility. Okay, so my answer will be, let's see. I mean, I know Lyle's at 4,400, but I would probably play Dwight if he starts. So wherever Dwight's at, I think he's at 3,500 down there. If you need someone like in this range and you don't want to leave salary on the table, then it's probably Lyles or Windler, I guess. All right, sorry. I just went a little bit fast, so sorry if I missed some questions here. Yeah, Cantor or Allen's a good question. I think I'll take Cantor for the discount. Dame, Milton, Simmons, Washington, Howard, McConnell, Bridges, Monk. Yeah, I think it's a good lineup. Thoughts on Lillard, Sexton, DeRozan, Bridges, Patton, Ball, Dozier, and Aminu. Contrarian, a little bit contrarian. Again, we need to see Philadelphia starting lineup news. What's Harden's ownership? I'm not sure. I don't look at ownership at all. So whoever has ownership might know. I don't know if he's going to be super, super popular, but I would guess, Harden, 7-game slate, 20, 30%. Simmons a must play. Not a must play, but I think he's one of the better spun ups in the slate for sure. Assuming Embiid's out. Ball, Dozier, Bridges, Washington, Howard, Dame, Simons, Green for cash. The Anthony Simons, Ben Simmons. Oh, never mind. That's Ben Simmons, right? Not Anthony Simons. Yeah, Ben Simmons. Okay, so Simmons and Green for cash. Oh, Danny Green? Yeah, that's fine. I mean, the risk with Danny Green playing him is he's very reliant on scoring. Who's a good play at small forward? Depends what range you're looking in. I think Ben Simmons at the top. Ben Simmons and DeMar DeRozan at the top. Mid-range, not a ton there in the mid-range for me. Value, I think it's Bridges. Stands out a good amount. And then you have a couple, Philly guys are playable here for value. You have Dozier for value, again, depending on starting line moves for Philly. Zion or Sabonis? Give me Zion. The chance of PJ Washington repeating yesterday's performance against Cantor, no, I mean, PJ's not going to go for 60 again. But I think he's still a good play at the price if you can stay out of foul trouble. DeMar, good pivot off Simmons. Yeah, I think that's fine for GPPs. Thoughts on Simmons, Milton, Bridges, Washington, Howard, Lillard, Dozier, Allen, Mitchell? I think it's a good lineup. Simmons or DeRozan, Simmons, foul trouble waiting to happen. Yeah, I mean, that is, I've laid out the concerns with PJ Washington. He's going to be chalk, and there's a good chance he gets in foul trouble. So you can definitely fade the chalk. Definitely fade him. Maybe you play Bismack Biyombo, because that's kind of how you leverage it is, if PJ Washington gets in foul trouble, Biyombo's going to play the 5. They don't have another option. Can they play McDaniels at the 5 or Bridges at the 5? I guess. But I think if PJ gets in foul trouble, it's going to be Biyombo that comes in and plays. So if you kind of want to leverage that, PJ is going to be really popular tonight. So you fade him and then you use Bismack as a lower owned value play to differentiate yourself. I think it's an interesting way to go about it. What is your favorite forward play in the slate? Ben Simmons. Thoughts on Pirtle? With Aldridge back, probably not for me. Windler, Nwaba, or Brown for the late night entry? Ooh. If there's no Osman, I'll go Windler. No, I have Washington in. Simmons, Bledsoe, Dozier, Bridges, Howard, Harden, Washington, Cantor. A little bit contrarian. I'm not in love with Bledsoe on the slate, to be honest. Curry or Milton? For me, I'll take the discount of Milton. Curry probably plays more minutes. I like both. I think I would just give that to Milton, though, because he's cheaper. Vucevic or Porzingis? Vooch. Fantasy Labs? Okay. Do we have news here? Let's see. Got about a couple minutes left here, too, before I get out of here. Porzingis available to play, and that is it. So we should get Pacers and 76ers news probably in the next few minutes. But again, I am getting out here in the next couple of minutes. So just keep an eye on that, guys. James Harden, 22% owned at DK. Okay, again, I guess what, 20 to 30%. Bacon or Aminu? Yeah, I'll go Aminu because he does more of the peripherals. Bacon probably plays more, but he's so reliant on the scoring. If you're going for the upside, maybe it's Bacon and you hope he shoots well. But I'm not in love with either. Lillard, Trent Jr., Dozier, Aminu, PJ Harden, Bridges, Milton. It's a little bit contrarian for sure. Gary Trent Jr. is pretty reliant on scoring. Again, I don't love playing guys like that. You guys know that by now watching my videos. I'm fine with everything else. Kyrie or Simmons is a good question. I'll go Simmons. Jared Allen or Donovan Mitchell is also a good question. I think they're both a little bit overpriced, but give me Allen there. DeRozan, Allen, or Cantor. Cantor for the discount. Ball, Dozier, Bridges, Washington, Howard, Dame. So, yeah. Okay, I went over that. Melo, LaMelo, Dozier, Simmons, Bridges, Cantor, Seth Curry, DeMar, Howard. Thoughts? I think it's a good lineup. Embiid out, most likely. Not confirmed. They said very questionable. Embiid on the floor for pregame. Why would Doc Rivers say that then? Like, that's just so dumb. Because that just changes the entire slate. I'm going to be really pissed if Embiid plays. I'm going to be, like, really upset. Because, like, why would you say that? That's going to really piss me off. Obviously, you don't play Dwight and you don't play Tony Bradley if Embiid plays. Yeah, he's warming up. Oh, that's just so annoying. So, yeah, we'll just have to keep an eye on that for sure. Thoughts on Wade? I think Wade and Windler are viable if there's no Osman. Turner, if Embiid's out, yeah, you can play him in the mid-range. I would be less concerned about foul trouble. Scott tonight, playable if there's no Embiid. Not really on DeAndre Jordan. PJ Washington torched one of the NBA's worst defenders in Bagley, not chasing that game. Yeah, he's not going to go for 60+. But as long as he stays out of foul trouble, I think we get 35-ish minutes, maybe a little bit more from him. And he'll play a lot at the 5, which boosts his floor and ceiling. Again, the one concern is his foul trouble. Porzingis or Vooch? How many minutes for Patton? Depends on if he starts. If he comes off the bench, maybe only 10 to 15. If he starts, I would say probably at least 20. Embiid or Luka. Low on a bean play. Yeah, I mean, if Embiid does play, I don't hate that in tournaments. Everyone kind of projecting him to be out, and then he plays. He'll be really low owned. Simmons still in play. I wouldn't really like him that much if Embiid plays. I think he'd be a fine play, but would not be a priority for me. So again, it just changes everything. Changes a lot. Yeah, if you guys want a little bit more, again, I got all a player pool, core plays, all that stuff, and then plus the Patreon live stream where we go over everything. I tell you guys exactly where I'm going for the slate. If you guys do want to join, link in the description below. All right. 1 minute, guys, then I'll get to one more question here. Are you off Simmons if Embiid is in? Okay, that is a good question. I am not completely off him, but I would not say he is a must for me. Ben Simmons would be one of the best plays in the slate if there's no Embiid. If Embiid is in, I think he's solid, but would not be a priority. So that's my thoughts there on that, guys. Good luck to everyone. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Monday. I'll be back here for another live stream on Tuesday, so I will see you guys all then.